Let's discuss racism, because we said we are going to talk about that a little. Now, I think most people have experienced racism. This is more on a serious note, obviously. Does racism still exist to you?
I think it totally still exists. I think it's existed for a long time. I think the big part about racism are the stereotypes attached to the races that they're attached to. And I feel like the caste system has a lot to blame for racism. There's a question as to what came first, slavery or racism. I feel that the slavery came first because your caste, in a caste system, your caste pretty much dictates your importance or your status or rank in the society of which you live in. So people who aren't wealthy, they're considered not as important in their society, and they're considered to be on the totem pole, on the lower and the bottom of the totem pole in their society. And they don't have as many rights as people with a higher caste or rank of society would have, like rich people. And since the beginning of time, money and power has ruled everything. And so naturally, the people with nobility and the people with wealth had power over and controlled and enslaved the poor people who were at the bottom of the totem pole, the poor people who didn't have the rights. For example, look at the ancient Egyptians. They actually enslaved their own people. That's why I feel that slavery came first before racism, because the ancient Egyptians were the first modern sophisticated civilization, and they had a caste system. They enslaved their own people, who of which were African just like them, with the same skin tone, the same ethnicity, the same race. And they enslaved them only because they were the poor, so they were considered not as important, not having as much rights. That's what my personal thing. What do you think? What do you think came first?
I think some of it, well, I think it probably stems from fear, like you're afraid of something that's different than you are.
Right.
I feel like maybe that's where it started, because
and evolved into racism.
Yeah, like you were afraid of what they're different than us. So, you know, I'm sort of afraid of that. So we've come up with a thing to hate. Right. You know what I mean? Not to, oh, they're different than us, so that makes them not good. So this must have started obviously a long time ago. But I feel like, did racism always exist? I don't know, because
I don't think it did.
I don't know if, like, you know, 5,000 years ago the cavemen were like racist. I don't know. I think maybe as we went on, it's something that came up.
And I think as time went on, that's why I think slavery was first, because it was really about your level in society. The poor were the ones that were enslaved.
Yeah.
The rich were the ones who were on top. But I think over the years it evolved into racism because there had to be a reason. There had to be another reason to make that distinction as to who were the worthy ones and who weren't the worthy ones.
And it is a touchy subject, I think, for a lot of people. Have you personally experienced racism?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have. You know, a lot of people get upset when they hear a racially derogatory word or phrase in association with them. But honestly, you know, I've been called the N-word before and everything like that. But it doesn't hurt me. It just makes me shake my head.
You've been called it in a negative way?
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. Like, what that word really means is just a person of low class. It doesn't mean that you're a black person or you're this color or that person. But I noticed that there's a stigma attached to being black in the world, not even just in America. But all I can do is shake my head if I ever hear any type of racial slur, whether it be from an Asian slur or a Latino slur, a Caucasian slur, anything. It's wrong, and it just makes me shake my head. But I'm thankful, like, for who I am, what I am. I wouldn't have it any other way.
And I think we have to face that we all stereotype.
Yeah, we all do.
We all do at some point or another. So, you know, we're all a little, I don't want to say racist, because I think there's a fine line, you know what I mean? I think racism and stereotypes, I think, are different. I do.
Of course.
Because being a racist person and just stereotyping based on someone's race is different than not liking the race.
Right.
You know, I may say, okay, that person's this, so they like this, but that doesn't mean I don't like that person. So stereotyping and racism, I think, are two different things, but it's a fine line in between. And yeah, I have experienced racism. I'll tell you a story, actually.
Yeah, tell me.
I went to a restaurant, a diner, with a friend of mine who is black, and her and I went to have dinner. And when we went into the diner, we sat down and we noticed that we were being like ignored and stuff, and we're like, what's going on? So finally, someone came over and they're like, yeah, what do you guys want? We're like, we'll just start off with waters or something. And then she went away. I still didn't bring our drinks back for like 10 minutes, and we're like waiting and waiting, and finally she brings back the drinks. She says, do you guys even have money? And I don't know, I'm guessing it was a racism thing from my perspective. And I was like, yeah. And
like that?
Yeah, that's why we're here. And she's like asking us to show her that we have money.
Oh no, what did you do?
And I was like, I'm not going to show her. I said, it's a principle. I'm not going to show her that I have money. Nobody has to show that they have money when they go to a diner.
Right.
So we left, and then we were with another friend. The other friend went in there and said, why didn't you serve them? And she said, the waitress said, oh, they look suspicious.
Oh my God.
Why did we look suspicious? Because it was a black girl and a lighter-skinned guy? I mean, what was suspicious about it?
Wow.
You know, a Latino and a black girl?
Zimmerman? Oh
yeah,
my
like,
God.
what was suspicious? So that happened to me years ago, and
I would say, you know what? I got money. You know what else I got? I gotta need to speak with your manager. Bring him over, please.
Yeah, and we did. A friend of mine spoke to the owner, and he's the one that said that. Well, they look suspicious, and my friend said, well, you guys are lousy. You guys are lousy people, and we left, and we went somewhere else, and we gave somewhere else our money. So that's
wow.
I've definitely experienced it, so I know what that's about.